Hi students, today we are going to talk about filling out our crystal experimental design diagram. We talked about EDDs back in Unit 1, and so I thought I'd do this video to help refresh your memory about how to fill one out. So when we're going to solve our problem of how does the environment affect the size of the crystals, we need to think about where we're going to place our jar and leave it over Thanksgiving break to see which place really will produce the largest crystal. And it's not necessarily the place we leave it at, it's more so the temperature of the place. So when we go to title this experiment, we always follow the format, the effect of our independent variable on our dependent variable. So as we go through our EDD, we will try to figure out what those variables are and replace these two words with the actual variables. For our hypothesis, it needs to be written in the format of if, then, because. So what you are going to do is write if the jar is placed in the blank. So whichever place you're thinking of putting your jar, for instance, the incubator, the countertop, the cabinet, the freezer, the fridge, and the windowsill, you're going to say that exact spot. So if a jar is placed in the windowsill, then it will grow the largest crystal because, and this is where you have to have a reasoning that's backed up by the articles you researched. So hopefully you have some ideas of how crystals form now, either through evaporation or with magma and lava. We won't be using magma and lava. We're going to superheat some water and add borax crystals and stir it until it dissolves and then let the water evaporate out. So your reasoning will probably deal with evaporation. So right now you can pause this video and start creating your hypothesis. When you've finished writing it down on your piece of paper, go ahead and press play. Next up, to fill out our EDD, we have to determine what the independent variable is. This is the variable or portion of the experiment that we actually manipulate. We as an experimenter actually can choose to change. So it's changing between each group is going to be the location the jars are placed. And for the levels, that just means, well, give me more details. What are these locations? For instance, one of them might be the incubator. Another, we said, could be the countertop. Someone else might want to do the windowsill. So you can fill those three in with whichever ones you are wanting to find out what the data will look like. Experimental group is asking you, out of these three, which ones are actually getting to be experimented upon. And thinking about it, all of them are getting this experiment done to them by different people. So in this case, all of them. A control group would be if we had a crystal growing in its natural habitat, we weren't testing anything about it. Since that's not the case for this experiment, we are just going to say there's not one. There's not a control group. Our dependent variable is going to be whenever we return the Monday after Thanksgiving, what are we expecting to see in our jars? We are hoping to see crystal growth. So at this point, what we can do, now that we've identified the independent and dependent variable, is better state our title. So looking at the title, we had the effect of IV on DV. Now we've said that the IV is location of the, or we could say the location, the effect of the location of the jars on crystal growth. You could even give more detail. You could say the effect of temperature on crystal size. You could say the effect of the temperature of the location on crystal volume. Either one of those will work. Lastly, we have constants that we need to establish for this experiment. Constants are things that we keep the same in order for this to be fair. If the windowsill group got to use 10 cups of borax and the incubator group only got to use 1 teaspoon, there would be a problem. That would not be fair. We wouldn't have a fair test of this. So we would definitely want to do the same amount of borax. We'd also leave the crystals for the same amount of time, which is going to be a week. And then right now, I want you to fill out the last 4 on your own. At this point, if you finished the EDD and it is completely done, you need to turn it into the substitute teacher and start working on the next thing.